Hi everyone, Iron Cameraman here. There's no longer any doubt that in part 3 of episode 79, we're definitely going to see the Speakerman base. But I've noticed there's a big discussion going on about where exactly it's located. Underground, underwater, or maybe even up in the air. Many people base their theories on the idea that Boom wouldn't repeat himself. The Cameraman base was on the surface. The TV Men base was underground. So the Speakerman base must logically be somewhere completely different. But the problem is that this assumption itself is built on false logic. Because hasn't Boom repeated himself before? What about the second underground Alpha Hills? What about the repeated infection of the Speakerman Titan storyline, which we saw again through the TV Man Titan? What about the repeated invasion of Earth, only this time led by the Astros? Or all the countless times when characters were declared dead, but later saved by the secret agent? So yes, Boom does repeat himself, and quite often. Therefore, it doesn't make sense to assume the Speakerman base has to be in some special or unique place just to avoid repetition. The second important clue was shown in the leak: ventilation. The fan blades clearly show that it's part of a ventilation system meant to circulate air through an air duct leading directly to the base. If the base really is underwater, then that duct would have to stretch hundreds of meters up to reach the surface. That would completely reveal the base above the waterline, making all the secrecy pointless. It's also important to remember that all the main Alliance bases were originally built by humans. That's confirmed by the Alpha Hills photos, Kathy's memories, and even the name of the organization behind it all: the Secret Research Association, Trinity, or the Trio, symbolizing the 3 future Alliance factions: the Cameramen, the TV Men, and of course the Speakermen. This explains why the bases have ventilation. It was made to provide humans with breathable air before the factions even existed. But that leads to a logical question. How do the Speakermen actually get to their base? Even an ordinary soldier weighs several tons, according to Boom. They'd simply sink instantly, not to mention a Strider or a Titan. Are we supposed to believe they walk for kilometers along the ocean floor every time they need to get there? The Speakerman Titan couldn't even float. His jetpack would immediately shut off underwater. And throughout the whole series, we've never seen the Speakermen use any underwater transport like gliders, submarines, or anything similar. Maybe the base itself is actually a gigantic submarine? But even if we assume that humans somehow managed to make a multi-thousand-ton structure float, then why would it have ventilation? Air ducts have to lead to the surface, meaning there's a direct line that gives away the base's location. Could the base levitate, like Mothership? Great idea. Spending billions of dollars to build the most visible secret base in the world, easily spotted by the naked eye and on every radar. Bravo! So, even if the base isn't underground, that idea just creates a ton of plot holes. That's why it's far more logical to assume the Speakerman base is in a more traditional, hidden underground location, maybe even connected to existing tunnels or research complexes that humans built before the invasion. Now let's talk about Camerawoman. I've already suggested that she was probably saved by a PC man. First her head, and later her body, since it disappeared completely. That means she'll likely be restored soon. But is that actually possible? In one scene, a repair cameraman walks past 2 beheaded comrades, showing that cameramen can't fix such severe damage. However, we saw the twin pair return completely fine in the next episode after what looked like a certain death, likely thanks to the secret agent's technology or the PC men under his command. And since Boom confirmed that the PC men will be officially introduced in episode 81, it makes sense that Camerawoman might reappear then as well. Still, it's also possible she'll show up later, maybe in episode 82. Why? First, when the PC men make their debut, the spotlight should be entirely on them, not Camerawoman. Second, she might have joined the secret squad, since she was rescued from near death, just like other agents who were transferred into that team. That would mean she's working in secret, hidden from the Alliance, maybe under invisibility or as a hologram. Third, she could be undergoing a full upgrade, possibly with green energy and advanced technologies, and that process might take time. Now I want to discuss another interesting theory that's been spreading lately. It suggests that the Duchess paralyzed the TV Man Titan with her tentacles during his capture. Supporting this theory are the Titan's own words, "I can't move," and the glowing particles of energy on her tentacles which weren't there when she first appeared, meaning they became activated during contact. However, we never saw her fire lasers or energy orbs, which means the effect was purely through the tentacles. But there's another side to this moment. The Titan remains lying motionless, even after the tentacles let go of him. That's strange, because it means he really couldn't resist. He'd already used up most of his energy during the battle against the Astros and Juggernaut, and his body had suffered major damage. So technically, the Duchess could have captured him even without using paralysis. But it looks like Boom deliberately chose that moment to show her ability in action. That means even a Titan can be paralyzed, not only by targeting the core, but also through the body itself. And even if the parasite were protected by armor like the Cameraman Titans, it wouldn't help. This new weakness actually gives the Alliance an opportunity to create countermeasures. For example, a paralyzing weapon could be installed on the new Speakerman Titan 3.0, who's expected to return in episode 80. Now let's talk about something people often overlook: the secret agent's immunity to the skibidi infection. It's subtle, but he never wears headphones, even when standing near the skibidi toilets. The same goes for the agentess. She never used ear protection either, even though her hologram disguise would have been infected long ago. It's obvious that the key here is green energy. So that brings up a question. Why didn't the secret agent share such an important power with humanity before or after the invasion began? Maybe green energy can even reverse the infection? Sadly, no. According to an older answer from Boom, that's not possible. However, with the introduction of the PC men in episode 81, green energy could finally spread throughout the Alliance, potentially giving humanity a chance to protect themselves. If that happens, humans might finally be able to stand alongside the agents and fight for what little remains of Earth and mankind. Now, let's move on to the mutants, who are basically terminators. The clearest example is one of the failed experiments by the scientist. You can see his exposed mechanical arm. This likely means they used agent bodies as the base, along with stolen technologies we also saw in Alpha Hills. But what about Berserker? He clearly has skin and muscles. First, we can see metallic parts sticking out of his arms, parts that would be impossible to have if the body were fully biological. And second, fake Gs had realistic skin, facial muscles, which are needed for expression, and even blood. That means the skibidi toilets already mastered creating Terminator-like soldiers, mechanical inside, but with a biological or synthetic outer layer that looks and feels alive. In Hugo's flashback, we literally saw him being welded to his new body, meaning it's made of metal. And in that same episode, we saw a critical damage message sent by his body itself, yet he still kept fighting after all those injuries. If his body were biological, he would have bled out or died from the pain. And that's all for now. If you enjoyed this theory breakdown, you can check out my other ones. I've created a full playlist that includes all the theory analysis videos for your convenience. And if you've already seen them, here's a reminder. Part 3 of Skibidi Toilet Alternate Timeline has just been released on the animation channel. I think you'll love it. We worked really hard on it. Iron Cameraman is out.
The Skibidi Toilet modifiers are here. Customize, swap, battle. Skibidi Toilet, Dark TV Man, Cameraman, G-Toilet. The Skibidi Toilet modifiers, only at Walmart.